Hello, epic entrepreneur. It's Tash, Corbin here, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 245, which means you can find all the show notes for today's episode and any relevant links over at tashcorbin.com/245. And also over with the show notes today, I'll make sure that we have this list of 10 unconventional business tips for starting out online, because that is exactly what I'm sharing with you in this episode. And I know it's always handy to have a ready reference guide of what those tips were in summary. So if you're looking for those, head on over to tashcorbin.com/245. Let's dive into this episode because I have some really unconventional tips for you. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. I thought I would do this episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast as a little bit of a self-indulgent moment, because I often have so much that I want to say about being in business online and particularly starting a business. And I think that this is just some of the best advice I could possibly give you. And normally what I try to do is think about like the key questions people ask me or the key challenges that people have and how I can answer those things. But sometimes you don't even know what question to ask. So this is me giving you all of my best and most unconventional advice if you are getting a business started online. So I have 10 hot tips for you, and then I have an extra bonus tip at the end of today's episode that I think you'll find very juicy. So tip number 1, don't just listen to just me. So this actually is a multi-layered tip. So first of all, don't just listen to me. So I know that in a lot of cases, online marketers and business mentors, people who do the similar things that I do, will try and get you to commit to just listen, just trust me, just trust the process, just follow along, just do the work. And don't ask any questions. And I am completely the opposite to that. So I don't want you to just take my word for it on things. And I also don't want you to commit to never listening to another marketing or business mentor ever again. You don't want to just listen to one person the whole way through your business journey. And there is a bit of a balance. You don't want to have like hundreds of gurus that you're following all at the same time. But at the same time, I also don't want you to just listen to me and follow what I say and never question it, or only have me in your inbox or only have me as your mentor in your business. So there are 3 key things that I think this relates to. Number 1 is question it. If it doesn't feel right, if you don't understand why, don't be afraid to ask questions. And if your mentors don't like you asking questions or don't like you questioning things, then get a better mentor. That would be my advice. Number 2 is having a diverse range of voices that you listen to. We know that we have a very white-centric world that we live in, especially in the online business world, especially when it comes to marketing. And I also deeply know that that means we're missing out on some really important insight and diversity in the strategies that we use and understanding how our work and our messaging and our presence is impacting people from diverse backgrounds as well. So one of the reasons why I'm so vocal about saying, don't just listen to me, like go and follow some other people as well, is because I also know that I am a cisgendered straight white woman, and you will actually be missing out on some very important insight if I'm the only person that you're listening to. So that's the second reason. And then the third piece of this also comes down to this drive that I want you to have to trust yourself more. If you are anything like me, you probably have spent the last few years, if not longer, being gaslit by people trying to convince you that you don't quite understand and you don't quite know and you can't really trust yourself. And in the online marketing and business space, especially, this is like 11-fold, right? This is so dialed up because a lot of marketing experts, business experts, sales strategy experts want you to believe that they have the answers, that they know all, that they are the guru. And in their strategies and the way that they do things, part of that can often be planting seeds of doubt in your mind about your own capacity and how much you can trust your own decision making and trust your instincts. And again, very unconventional, but I'm the opposite of that. I want you to learn how to trust yourself and listen to yourself and trust yourself more and more as we work together, not less and less. So, unconventional tip number 1, don't just listen to just me. Number 2, answer and invite emails and direct messages. So I know, again, it's very unconventional because so many, hustle type people out there who want you to be really fancy and put yourself on a pedestal above other people will say, don't invite people to private message you. Don't invite people to email you. They have to jump through the hoops and do things en masse. You are not here for individuals. And if people do email you or direct message you, only answer your emails for 1 hour a week and make sure you got autoresponders saying that you don't answer your emails and make all these boundaries and fences and hoops. And whilst there might be some extra boundaries and fences that you do need to put up as your business grows, for most people in startup, high connection conversations and one-to-one conversations is your number 1 sales strategy. So we want to be focusing your time and energy on high connection, high conversion activities. So to be told, don't invite people to engage with you one-to-one, and definitely don't answer if they do cross that barrier and somehow get in touch with you via private message or emails, that is so outdated and it's so short-sighted. And for many, many, many women in business, it's actually costing you really great growth and really great financial results in your business simply by not engaging in conversation. It's our feminine strength. We are so amazing at connecting with people and relating to people and being human and vulnerable and listening and understanding. And all of those innate strengths show up even better in one-to-one conversations, even when it's a written conversation. So instead of blocking all the ways that people can connect with you, why not invite people to connect with you? And when they do, actually respond to them. Unconventional, I know, but it's a really juicy tip. Number 3, spaghetti at the wall is okay, but it cannot be your strategy forever. So whilst I understand that when you're first starting out, you might like to try a bunch of things, this niche, that niche, this offer, that offer, this brand, that brand, this color, that color, this social media channel, that social media channel, videos, podcasts, right? Yes, I totally understand, especially when you're first starting out, you don't really know what your strengths are. And I'd rather see you take action than not. But you want to make sure that you're clear with yourself. I'm not going to be doing all the things on all the platforms for all of the niches with all of the products forever. When we do engage in experiment and play and throwing some spaghetti at the wall in our strategies, it's through the lens of an experiment, and an experiment is only an experiment when we learn from it. Otherwise, it's just play, right? So we want to make sure that if you do choose to throw some spaghetti around and see what sticks, that you pay attention to what does stick, what doesn't work, why doesn't that work? Don't do it anymore, right? So you want to make sure that if you do choose to go through a bit of an experimentation phase, that you learn from that experiment, make some decisions, refine your focus, and move forward with that refined approach. Otherwise, you are just consistently spreading yourself thinner and thinner, and eventually it will lead to some form of burnout, overstretching yourself, underpaying yourself, or some other challenge that comes from being so spread thin. Number 4, unconventional business tip is that you should not be focusing on audience growth. What? Especially when you're starting a business, your number 1 job is not growing your audience. And it's definitely not growing your audience at scale. Because for most people who are in startup, you haven't actually made any created any proof of concept of your business yet. Have you got a niche? Do you understand that niche? Is it the right niche for your business? Have you got your messaging sorted? Are you able to articulate your value proposition effectively? Is your offer written and designed and packaged up appropriately for your audience? Have you sold that offer before? These are all things that I would be prioritizing taking care of before I prioritized audience growth. And the beautiful thing is that instead of growing your audience when you are first starting your business, you can just borrow someone else's. There are so many ways for you to tap into existing communities and audiences to do all of those other things and basically test and refine the foundations of your business through making sales, that you don't need to go and grow your Facebook page likes followings. You don't need to go and grow your Instagram followers. You don't need any cold audience growth in the first phase of your business. Not all reach is created equal. And that cold audience reach, that follower growth, that audience growth in the early stages of business is actually not that valuable to you. Especially not if you haven't got those foundations sorted. Those foundations are sorted by making sales. Those sales come not from cold audience growth, but instead from that high connection, high conversion strategy. That is where you sort your foundations. So I know I'm very unconventional. Don't focus on audience growth, especially not cold audience. I totally understand it. But that is my unconventional tip for you starting your business online. Unconventional tip number 5, there is no magic formula. There is no exact 108 steps for you to create six-figure business success. There is no hidden agenda. There is no special sauce secret thing that no one can tell you unless you pay them $2,500 or more for it. Creating and growing an online business is actually a very simple process that has been overcomplicated, overconvoluted, and made into feeling like there is some kind of secret formula because that's how fear-based marketers make their sales. There is no magic formula. The formula to creating and growing a business online is reach the right people, convert them into paying clients. That is the formula. There is nothing magic about it. There is nothing secret that you need to learn. No one has the special magic beans that if you had them, you would have this automatic growth. There is no such thing. Instead, what you want to do is build your business on very solid foundations with very simple, effective marketing strategies. And whilst proliferating the belief that there is a magic formula may make me more money in the long term, ultimately, I am creating a business and teaching online business through the lens of the fact that there is no magic formula because that is the honest truth and that is what is aligned to my values. So it might be unconventional for someone to say, actually, there is no magic formula, but I just have to say it because for me, that's the truth. Number 6, it's easier than you think it is, and it's definitely easier than you're making it. And this is another one where it's slightly unconventional because if you've ever signed up for one of those like, oh, here's how I'm going to tell you the exact secret formula webinars, or one of those launches, or one of those freebies that is trying to sell you something, chances are they're also in the process of trying to sell something to you. They're making it feel like it's hard if you don't work with them. And often the reason why we're making it harder than it needs to be is because of a money mindset issue, i.e. we tie hard work to making money, and therefore the more money we want to make, the harder we have to work. So we subconsciously and unconsciously look for ways to make it harder. But it can also come down to an industry issue that is, if we make it look harder than it is, if we make it seem more complicated, if we make it feel like it's a bigger deal than it actually is, people are more likely to look to us as leaders for help, support, guidance, hand-holding and secret formulas, which we can sell to them. So it's not as hard to create and grow an online business as you think it is, and it's definitely not as hard as you're making it. For many people, when they come into my VIP work or they come into my takeoff program, one of the first things they realize is that 80% of their to-do list is stuff that they don't actually need to be doing, and it's just keeping them busy and making it feel hard. And so I often get asked the question, what's the time investment if you sign up to the Takeoff program? And for most people, the time investment when they join the Takeoff program is negative, because I take hours and hours a week of work off their plates that they're doing because they think that that's what they need in order to be successful. They think that they need to be in all of the spaces online, and actually most of that stuff they don't need to be doing. So whilst there are some hours a week that I would definitely say is involved in doing the Takeoff program, in return for that, I'm going to take all these hours off your plate and tell you don't need to worry about that right now. And it's a huge relief for people because we do tend to make it harder than it needs to be. Unconventional, I know. Number 7, and this one goes against quite a few big industry leaders here, but don't be everywhere. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to be on TikTok. You don't need to be on Twitter. You don't need to be on 14 social media channels. You don't need to be on the cutting edge of all the social media channels, what they are and how you can show up and be present on them. Usually, if someone's telling you you really need to be on TikTok because otherwise you're not going to make money, they're selling you a course on how to make money on TikTok. They have a conflict of interests in giving you that advice. So I'm here to tell you, you don't have to be everywhere. I would much rather see you focus on one channel, generally Instagram or Facebook, as your core social media strategy, and just focus on that. Remember, high connection, high conversion. I love Facebook and Instagram because they are the two social media platforms where you can have that high connection, high conversion strategy, and you don't need to have thousands and thousands of followers in order to be making money. I have 2 clients that I've been working with over the last couple of months, and both of them have sold over $10,000 in their services in the last month with under 200 followers on Facebook. Both of them have under 200 followers on Facebook, and both of them have done $10,000 in the last month. Now, the reason why they are able to do that is because we are focusing them down on high connection, high conversion strategies. So in order to make 4 sales at $2,500, you don't need 4,500 followers. You need to find the right 4 people. That is it. So you don't need to be everywhere. And often the people who advocate for this strategy are, one, old school marketers. They've been around for a long time, and being early adopters in other social media channels really did them well. And so therefore they think that that needs to be the rule of thumb from now on. If I want to really consistently be growing, then I need to be an early adopter on any social media channel that comes out, and they want to convince their followers to do the same. So that's generally what happens. And also those people who are proliferating across multiple platforms, and I'm talking about like 8 platforms, 10 platforms, they're the people who also say, you got to hustle, you got to want it harder, you got to create 20 pieces of content a day, you got to do this, you got to do that. And they're just making you a giant list of things that you have to do. That is just not the reason why you started your business. You didn't get into this business to be on every social media platform, to be totally strung out, to be totally burnt out, to be totally spread thin, to have to respond to messages in 15 places all over the internet. That's not why you did this. And if that's true for you, then I give you permission to not be everywhere. Focus down on your one core high connection, high conversion platform and build from there. Unconventional, I know. Next, number 8, don't get up at 4 a.m. if getting up at 4 a.m. doesn't come naturally to you. You do not have to get up at 4 a.m. to be successful at business. If you did, I would never have got to where I am today. This morning, got out of bed at 8:30. Yesterday, got out of bed at 7:30. I wake up when I wake up, and I do not jump up and get straight into work and eat frogs. Not my thing. You are allowed to build a business that works for you, it works with your natural rhythms, and that you don't have to be working 12 hours a day in order to be successful in. Even some of the biggest advocates for business models that are low time investment and all that sort of thing still advocate for doing the hard work early so you don't have to do the hard work later. They still advocate for, 12-hour days are just something you have to do sometimes in your business, especially when you're starting out. But trust me, it will get easier and you can get down to 4-hour work days later, right? But that's delayed life syndrome all over again. And you are teaching your business what it can expect from you into the future. So if it's not your style to wake up at 4 a.m., you don't have to do it. If you're not someone who loves burning the midnight oil and staying up late, don't do it. You do not need to do any of these things in order to be successful. You are allowed to build your business to your strengths with your rhythms and your patterns. And in most cases, the more boundaried you are about the time that you give your business, the more effective that time is when you do it. Number 9, hustle can take a hike. So I know. It's so empowering sometimes and it feels so uplifting to be like, yeah, hustling for it. And yeah, I'm working really hard. And yeah, I'm doing the tough things. And yeah, I'm making myself so uncomfortable every single day and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of that hustle mentality is just part of that industry belief system that proliferates over and over again. And honestly, I just don't buy it. I know for myself throughout my 7 years in business now that the times when I've been in hustle mode are the times when I've been the most stressed out, put on the most weight, eaten the worst quality food, stressed myself out so much that I hardly slept, worked so hard, and ultimately didn't really get me as good a results as when I was just focused, consistent, and boundaried. So if you feel like one of the reasons why you're not as successful as you could be right now is because you're just not motivated enough, you're not hustling enough, you're not working hard enough, I give you permission to throw that reason out the door. You can absolutely be successful by getting rid of that hustle mentality. And if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend the book Chillpreneur by Denise Duffield Thomas. Absolutely gorgeous, written by a beautiful woman for beautiful women just like us, and really helps to disassemble some of those belief systems that absolutely proliferate in the online entrepreneurial space in particular. So number 9, hustle can take a hike. Let's just choose the easy way. Let's just choose the lazy way. Let's just choose the fun way. ELF, easy, lazy, fun. Number 10, you don't need to spend big money to make big money. Now, I understand that, as a service provider in the online marketing and business space, it would be really handy for me to proliferate again that belief that in order to really commit to a challenge or a program, you need to invest big money because money is the motivator for you to actually get the result. It would be really easy for me to say to you, if you want to spend big, if you want to attract clients that spend big, if you want to earn big, then you need to invest big and role model the behavior that you want from your clients. But honestly, it's all just buying into that pyramid scheme BS that the online business world would love for you to believe in, but ultimately it's a complete fallacy. Some of the most amazing business owners that I know built their business on the sniff of an oily rag, and they did not invest big. They did not spend big money in order to make great money in their business. And I am one of those people. I've never joined a $50,000 a year mastermind. The most I've spent on a mastermind was $25,000, and it was one of the worst investments I ever made. And actually, I've received so much more value and had so much better results from working one-to-one with people. One of my favorite things I ever did was a $2,000 program. Another one that I did was a 6-month VIP coaching package. It was $5,000. I've done 297 programs. I bought a course for $97 that completely helped me with my marketing and building my presence online. You do not have to invest giant amounts of money in order to be successful in the online world. And honestly, this whole belief system that the price tag is equivalent to the result that you get is actually just... It's just a fallacy, and it's a strategy that's used to make you believe that it's more valuable than it is in a lot of cases. So, in old school marketing terms, we would see people saying, if it's $5,000 or it's $2,000, the people who pay $5,000 are going to be more committed, they'll do more work, they'll get more value out of it because they paid more for it. But this has been used as an excuse by a lot of people who create really half-done masterminds and really underdeveloped courses. They use that as an excuse to charge way more than the product is actually worth. So I just want you to know that you do not have to spend huge amounts of money in order to make money online. Similarly, you do not have to make quick decisions to invest if you want to attract quick decision makers. It is a completely manipulative tactic that is trying to talk you into making a decision without thinking about it. I have a rule with my partner. We have a sleep on it for 48 hours rule with any investment over $1,000. And when I've said that to certain people that I wanted to buy something from, I said, yep, I'm totally in. Love it. Love everything that we've talked about. I have a 48-hour sleep on it rule, so send me the details and I'll jump in a couple of days. And I've had people say to me, oh, wow, I thought you were a decisive leader in your industry. I thought you would be a quick decision maker. I don't think this is the right fit for you if you can't make a decision today. And if you want to attract quick decision makers, you need to be a quick decision maker. And I've just said to them, I am not here for that manipulative crap that you just threw on me. So I've changed my mind. I'm out. See you later. Because I know that strategy is simply used as a psychological tactic to convince me to part with my money quickly so that I can't think it through. Now, do you really want to work with someone who would prefer to make you not think it through? No. Would I prefer to teach you strategies that are empowering for your audience and that allow them to think things through and still make an empowered decision to say yes? Absolutely. And do you want to show up as a marketer who pressures people into buying things through these manipulative tactics? No, you probably aren't. So you are in the right place if these unconventional strategies and pieces of advice are resonating for you. So that is my 10 unconventional business tips for starting online. And as I said at the start of today's episode, I actually have an 11th bonus tip for you, and that is to learn how to spot fear-based marketing strategies. The reason why this is my unconventional tip is because there are a lot of marketers out there. There are a lot of trainers, coaches, mentors out there who have been taught fear-based marketing strategies. Many of them don't even know that the strategies they're using are fear-based because they just do what they're told. Some of them do know that the strategies that they use are fear-based, but they justify them through the lens of, you'll thank me later because I'm going to help you get the result. But ultimately, fear-based marketing strategies are built based on a lack of consent. They are built through the lens of gaslighting people and using psychological strategies and tactics to convince people to buy something that may not necessarily be the right fit for them, or that it might not be the right time for them to purchase. And for a lot of people, fear-based sales strategies also have you running around in circles thinking that you need to do 100 different things because you're freaking out that you're not successful enough yet. And when you learn how to spot these fear-based strategies, it is very empowering as a business owner. Being able to recognize when you're sitting on a webinar within the first 15 minutes that this is making you feel really uncomfortable and really freaked out that you're missing out on something before you've even got into the juicy content, being able to recognize that feeling in yourself and spot the fact that they've dialed up your fear before they've presented the answer and swooped in as your savior is really freeing. It gives you permission to say, you know what? This is a fear-based strategy and I am choosing to disengage in this. That fear-based strategy will be used to convince you to sign up for things you don't need to sign up for, keep receiving emails you don't want to keep receiving, buy products and services that you don't actually need to buy, and ultimately spend money that you don't need to be spending to grow your business. So learning how to spot those fear-based strategies is a really sexy way of avoiding overspending and overwhelming yourself in that startup business journey as well. Okay, so I've got a big favor to ask you. I want to know, over in the Heart Center community, which of these 11 tips did you find the most valuable? Come on over to the Heart Centered Soul Driven Entrepreneurs Facebook group. Use hashtag #PodcastAha. Let me know you've been listening to episode number 245 of the Heart Centered Business Podcast. And I want to know which of these was the most powerful for you and why. And Bonus points if you can tell me which one you think is the most unconventional as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine, and I really do look forward to seeing your business thrive unconventionally. Until then, bye for now. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.